In modern America, we're surrounded by a cultural drumbeat that champions hustle, grind, and nonstop achievement. From motivational speakers on YouTube to the culture of overachievement in elite universities, we've absorbed a message so subtle yet so powerful. If you work hard enough, happiness will follow. But what if that's not true? What if effort, no matter how intense or disciplined, doesn't necessarily lead to a fulfilling life? Too often, we confuse effort with meaning, the sheer amount of work we put in with the worth of what we're working toward. It's a quiet tragedy I've witnessed time and again. People who spend decades climbing ladders, only to realize, once they reach the top, that it was the wrong ladder all along. They're not lacking in success. Far from it. What they're lacking is purpose. And without purpose, success is just a hollow shell. In America, the so-called American dream has long promised that with enough hard work, anyone can achieve anything. While that idea has inspired generations, it also comes with a dangerous side effect, the belief that hard work alone is the answer to every problem. But what this narrative rarely encourages is self-reflection. It never pauses to ask, are you chasing a goal that actually matters to you? I've met lawyers who hate arguing, doctors who dread hospitals, and startup founders who feel like prisoners in companies they built. These are individuals who didn't fail in society's eyes. They did everything right. They earned the degrees, secured the promotions, and bought the houses. But when they finally arrived at the summit, they felt something unexpected: emptiness. Not because they didn't make it, but because they realized the summit wasn't theirs to begin with. There is a difference, a vital, life-defining difference, between working hard and working with meaning. One is about output, the other is about alignment. You can burn out every day and still feel lost if your work isn't aligned with your values, your strengths, or your vision for life. A person can pour their soul into building a successful life, only to realize too late that the life they've built doesn't actually belong to them. This misalignment often begins early, especially in high-pressure environments. Think about a high school student in New York, Los Angeles, or Houston, constantly told to aim for Ivy League schools, high-paying careers, and top-of-the-class performance. They internalize the idea that life is a race and that falling behind is failure. So they push and push and push, often never pausing to ask why. By the time they graduate, they've become machines of achievement. But inside, they're exhausted and disoriented. They don't know who they are outside of the expectations placed upon them. One of the most heartbreaking patterns I've seen is people living out dreams they never chose, inherited ambitions, passed down like old family heirlooms. Immigrant families in America often carry this dynamic. The parents, having struggled for survival, naturally want security for their children. So they push them towards stable careers, medicine, law, engineering. But the dream of safety can become a cage of obligation. I remember speaking to a young woman named Grace, a second-generation Korean-American who had just passed the bar exam. She should have been celebrating. Instead, she was in tears. "I didn't even want this," she said. "I've never wanted this. I love working with kids. I wanted to be a teacher, but my family would never forgive me." Grace's story isn't rare. All across the country, people are carrying not just their own hopes, but the unspoken hopes of generations before them. And yet, love and sacrifice don't always come with understanding. A parent's love can be unconditional, but that doesn't mean they always know what's best for their child's unique path. When love becomes pressure, and when pressure turns into debt, people stop living. They merely perform, day after day, checking boxes on a life that was never theirs to begin with. Real success demands a personal price and a personal choice. One of the most profound truths I've learned, through watching people navigate careers, wealth, and personal growth, is that every form of success comes at a cost. But real success is when you're willing to pay that price because the outcome means something to you. Not to your boss, not to your parents, not to your LinkedIn followers. You. That's the crucial distinction. Two people might work the same 80-hour week, but only one of them feels energized by it. Why? Because they believe in what they're doing. Because their actions align with their values. Because they're not running someone else's race. They've chosen this course themselves. In the US, we often admire stories of entrepreneurs who gave it all. But we forget that not all sacrifices are created equal. If you sacrifice your mental health, your integrity, or your identity for a dream that was never truly yours, you're not building a life. You're burning it down. The courage to ask, who am I doing this for? Eventually, we all hit a point. Whether it's a midlife crisis, a career burnout, or a quiet moment on a Sunday afternoon, where we ask, who is this all for? Am I chasing this goal because I truly believe in it, or because I need validation? Would I still do this if no one ever clapped? If the answer is no, if you wouldn't continue without the applause, the paycheck, or the approval, then perhaps it's time to reevaluate. Maybe you've outgrown the dream. Maybe it wasn't even your dream to begin with. In a world obsessed with more, sometimes the bravest thing you can do is less. Less performing, less pretending, less pursuing goals that aren't yours. Because true meaning doesn't require an audience. It requires honesty. Steps toward reclaiming meaning. Reclaiming a life of meaning isn't easy, especially in a culture like ours, one that constantly floods us with images of what success is supposed to look like. From glossy Instagram reels of perfect lives to corporate mantras that equate long hours with worth, the pressure to conform to a certain definition of achievement is relentless. In this noisy environment, it can feel nearly impossible to hear your own voice, let alone follow it. And yet, it is possible. Carving out a path that feels deeply personal, intentional, and fulfilling begins not with a grand gesture, but with a quiet return to yourself. It starts with asking the hard questions, the kind most of us spend years avoiding. The first step is self-inquiry without judgment. This means looking inward with honesty and curiosity, not shame or guilt. Ask yourself, what actually matters to me? If no one else could see your choices, if applause and approval didn't exist, what would you spend your days doing? Too often our goals are inherited rather than chosen. They're shaped by what our families wanted, what our peers admire, or what society rewards. But when you strip away those external expectations, what remains? That's where your truth lives. And that's where meaning begins to take root. Not in what you think you should want, but in what you actually want, even if you've never said it out loud before. Next comes the willingness to embrace uncertainty. Let's be honest, walking away from the familiar, from the path everyone else is on, is scary. There are no guarantees when you step off the conveyor belt, but uncertainty isn't your enemy. It's the fertile ground where your authentic self can finally grow. If your life feels scripted, robotic, or empty, that discomfort may be your soul trying to get your attention. You're not lost, you're searching. You're not behind, you're waking up. And while others may mistake your detour for a delay, what you're really doing is making a conscious choice to stop drifting and start living. Of course, you don't have to do this alone. Finding a support system can make all the difference. Whether it's a friend who listens without judgment, a mentor who's walked a similar path, or a therapist who helps you unpack the beliefs that no longer serve you, having people who validate your exploration can be life-changing. Too often we try to figure it out in isolation, thinking it's weak to need help. But the truth is, transformation rarely happens in a vacuum. You need safe spaces to speak your fears, test your ideas, and hear yourself think out loud. Once you've begun this inner work, the next step is taking micro-actions. You don't need to blow up your entire life overnight. Meaning isn't found in dramatic leaps, it's found in small, consistent steps that bring you closer to your center. Take a weekend workshop in something you love. Journal for 15 minutes before bed. Block out 1 hour each week just to reflect, read, or walk without distractions. These seemingly minor shifts are how you rebuild a life that feels right. The goal isn't to be radical, it's to be real. And real takes time. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, you must redefine what success means to you. Our culture loves metrics, net worth, job titles, square footage, but none of those numbers mean anything if they don't reflect what you value. So ask yourself, what if success looked like peace of mind? What if it was about spending time with your kids, painting on weekends, feeling connected to your body, or simply waking up without dread? When you stop outsourcing the definition of success to everyone else, you give yourself the freedom to live a life that's not just impressive, but true. Meaning doesn't appear fully formed. It's something you cultivate, choice by choice, conversation by conversation, moment by moment. And while the process can be uncomfortable, even messy, the result is something far more precious than approval or status, a life that feels like your own. At the core of all this is a subtle but powerful shift, from performance to presence. Instead of constantly striving to meet external benchmarks, you begin to live from a place of inner clarity. You work hard, not because you're supposed to, but because you care. You pursue goals, not because they look good, but because they feel right. That's when life begins to feel like your own. That's when even the hard days carry a sense of quiet satisfaction. Because you're not chasing anymore, you're choosing. In the end, no one truly wins a life that was scripted by someone else, not even if they come in first place. Because the prize for running someone else's race is never fulfillment. It's fatigue. But when you choose your own race, However slow, however strange, however different, you begin to live from the inside out. And that in itself is a radical act of freedom. So stop, breathe, ask yourself the hard questions. And if the path you're on doesn't feel like home, be brave enough to leave it. Because meaning isn't something you find at the end of a long road of struggle. It's something you build, step by step, day by day, by honoring what truly matters to you. I hope you found this video helpful. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to hit the like button. It might seem like a small thing, but because of how the YouTube algorithm works, videos with more likes tend to get shown to more people. So your like really helps this video reach others who might need it too. And if you find my content valuable, consider subscribing. It really helps more people discover it. Thanks for watching, and I wish you and your family good health and peace. See you in the next video.